Hello, and thank you for watching The Righteous Kitchen, a cooking and baking blog found at www.therighteouskitchen.blogspot.com. Today I'm going to show you how to cook a bone-in ham, and I have here a 10.3 pound shank portion ham. Now when you get these are already pre-cooked. See, it says in here, ready to eat. So basically all you're doing is warming this up. Now you're supposed to warm it up to an internal temperature of 170 degrees. And I'm going to show you how to do that. The purpose of this ham is, I just want to cook it not for entertaining. We're not having a fancy dinner. It's not Christmas or Thanksgiving. I just want to cook this ham, and then I'll have it for ham dinner, and then I'll also have the ham for other dishes. So I'm not going to put a glaze on this. Now see, I've opened this and it's full of water. So I opened it carefully. I've got the juices here. I'm just going to take it right to the sink. And then I have paper towels. And I'm just going to pat this dry. A funny story is when my grandmother was teaching me to cook a ham, it had an extra layer of packaging on it, and we actually didn't notice it, and it baked with that packaging on it. The ham was fine, we still ate it, but it was really funny that that was on there. So just kind of look it over and make sure that there isn't, you know, another layer on there anywhere. All right, so I just basically want to warm this up, but I am, you know, since it's a ham, I'm going to go ahead and give it those nice cuts that you would have on a ham if you were putting a glaze. So we'll give it a little bit of a presentation, even though we're not using this ham for that purpose. Now, I didn't want to put a glaze on these. I've just about an inch or so put a cut mark in it, about a ½ inch. Now I'm going to go opposite of that to kind of get little diamond shapes in here. And that's all you would do to give it a nice presentation, and then for some of that sauce or marinade, your glaze to build on in there. And then you put pineapple and cherries in here. The reason also I don't want to do that is I am going to be using some of this ham for ham and beans. And if I was going to say put a brown sugar glaze on there, my drippings would taste like brown sugar, and that's not a flavor that I want in my ham and beans. So I'm not going to do anything to this other than, you know, I just scored it. So that's all. So let me show you what I have here. I have a roasting pan with a trivet in it to keep the ham off of the bottom of the roaster. I am going to put this in a preheated oven on 350 degrees, and I'm cooking it in the roaster because number one, it's going to cook faster, and then with the lid on it, as it starts to get hot and steamy, all those juices will fall into the pan, and it's just going to keep it with that lid on there from burning, getting dark burn spots on it. So, and I think this will fit a little bit better if I flip that around. We'll see. Okay, so we have a better fit on our lid. This is gonna go in for probably about 2 hours or so. It's gonna cook faster because it's got this lid. So I'll check it in a couple of hours and see how it's done. And then I'll come back and show you how to slice up the ham. You'll have that information if you do decide to glaze it for a Thanksgiving or an Easter dinner. I'll show you how to cut it. And then I want to go into a little bit of how I collect the drippings for this to make ham and beans. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the oven. I'll be back in a couple of hours. Okay, this ham has been cooking at 350 in this roaster for 1.5 hours. And I'm just gonna check it real quick. And I have a meat thermometer. You don't want it to touch the bone. There you go. And it even says here, there's a picture of the ham. And if you look at the ham, it's between, well, it's 160 is the temperature you want for the ham. You can see cutting it, give it a nice presentation. It's still browning in the pan, so that's nice. I usually will put a glaze of pineapple juice and brown sugar, and then I also put the pineapple rings and maraschino cherries in the center of the rings, and then I put cloves. But I don't want those flavors when I use this ham for other recipes. We're only at 99 degrees, so I'm gonna put it covered back in the oven at 350. And you know what, to have this fit better, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over where it'll fit a little bit better in this pan. There we go. Let's see if we could get the lid on there. There we are. All right, I'll be back in about a half an hour. Okay, this has been going for 2 hours and 10 minutes. And again, we're gonna use the meat thermometer. We used both of them since we were having a problem. And it is, I put it right in there and it's already going above it's at 165. So that is fine. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the oven. So if it wasn't in the roaster, it's 15 minutes per pound. This is a 10-pounder, so that's 150 minutes. There's 60 minutes per hour, so that's 2 hours and a half. So we got the cooking time down. I would have said, if I would have put this with the lid on and had it all perfect, it would have been 2 hours or less anyway, using it in the roaster. There's no issue with it burning. So that's a nice thing about putting it in the roaster. It's not gonna burn on you. And like I said, I don't want it burning, and I don't want the juices sticking to the bottom of the pan. because I'm going to reclaim all these juices for my ham and beans. So what I'm going to do now is just before I lift this out of here, I'm going to see if I could get this trivet back. Okay. I'm going to let that set a minute or two. It's out of the juices. So I'm going to let it cool down where it's cool enough for me to handle it and to carve it. And then I'll come back and show you how to carve it. And then prepping these juices in the pan. And I'll give you a little peek. There's quite a bit, well, that's probably getting ahead of myself. There's quite a bit of juices at the bottom, and that's gonna really make those ham and beans taste really good. All right, so I'll be back once this is cooled off. Okay, here is the ham. And like I said, I didn't cook this one to serve at a fancy dinner. It's not for any holiday or special occasion. It's just to simply cook it and use it in other recipes. So I have that, it's cooled. And then I have the roasting pan with the trivet, and I'm just gonna scrape off any of the juices from this trivet, and I'm gonna put it into a crock pot. Any of those bits that have kind of caramelized, I'm getting all that. And then I'm pouring all the juices into the crock pot. And any caramelized bits from this roasting pan, I'm gonna scrape them right in there too. And I'm gonna get a pair of gloves because I do like to work with gloves when I'm handling this greasy meat, and it's still a little bit warm, so this is going to protect me a little bit. So I'm going to have the crock pot with these juices right off to the side. And then here's the ham, and all this fat, I'm going to go ahead and trim all the fat and put it right in the crock pot. So all the pieces of fat, and I don't have to be perfect right now, but I don't want to waste this fat. What I'm going to end up doing is rendering this all down into the crock pot. So all this is going to be flavor. All right. And then, now when you're carving, you can see kind of where to cut. See where I can put my finger in there, and it's got a membrane in here that's separating that. And then over here, there's a piece. So we're gonna use that all as a guide. And I'm gonna kind of do this backwards so that you can see. But we just get in here and cut it. And I'm just kind of using my fingers to separate. And I'm just using this all as a guide. So see, when I come in here, I could cut that, and then over here, I'll cut it, and I'll just sink my knife in there. Because I kind of want to keep it all in the natural segments. So see how that all went right there? All right, so here's one piece. You could even use your hands, it doesn't matter. Just get in here, and it lets you know where to cut it. So here's a bunch of fat right here. We'll get all the fat. We want all this fat to go into the crock pot, and that's going to help us with our broth that we're going to make. So we'll get these trimmed to the larger pieces. We'll get all the fat, the gristle, and things like that off of them. Like this kind of stuff, this membrane stuff. Just pull it off. See how that fat's just peeling away? Now here's some silver skin. I don't like that, so I just cut it away. All right, so there is a bunch of pieces, and then you just continue doing the same thing. See all that fat? All right, so we've got this just like it as the other part. You can just kind of get in there and separate it, and then get your knife in here, and then just follow along. There's another section. There's a lot of gristle right there. All right, there's another piece of meat ready to carve. And then right here is a whole nother look at that. See there? You just follow right along. And then clean this up. This isn't the prettiest job, but it's very effective on these weird cuts of meat. And it's nice when you serve it, you've already taken out all the fat and the gristle for everybody. Now you don't have to be 100% perfect. Here's another piece. And then this wants to be separated right here. I think they call that round portion the tenderloin. And that's a nice piece of the ham. Now the bone, I don't worry about trimming this up too much. I like to have this meat here for the ham and beans. So I'm just gonna put it right in the crock pot, and that's gonna go, this is all gonna cook down until that meat just falls right off the bone. Now what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to get the grease kind of off of this board a little bit. That just keeps it from getting everywhere. And I'm going to change my gloves and get a different knife so that I can slice this. Take a minute to clean up my knife, my pans and everything, kind of get that greasy mess under control. Here's all the pieces of ham that we've got the fat and the gristle removed. So now we could just begin slicing it. So, go ahead and do that. So you want to go against the grain. The grain is going this way. The grain is going this way. So I'm going to go opposite. And that is what you do for meat. And that'll give you a tender cut of meat. If you were to do it the other way, depending on what meat you were using, it would be stringy. So let's look at this. If you get any pieces of fat along the way that you don't like, or silver skin, well then you can just go ahead and trim them and put it right over there. But look at these nice slices. Getting it all sliced up really nice. That would go right on your platter. But I like to just put these, okay, let's look at this. The grain's going that way. Get rid of this. Hold on. The grain's going this way, so we're gonna slice it this way. All right, against the grain. And sometimes it's hard to see, you gotta look. So it's going this way. So we're gonna wanna go this way. And then let's do that eye. So we can see it's going this way. So we're gonna go this way. And there's some silver skin under this piece that I don't particularly care for. That's going to be a little bit hard to remove. I'm just going to cut it and then slide it off of there. Looks like that's working pretty good. Slide it right off. But this is pretty much all there is to it. I'll have to make one the next holiday that I serve ham. And I'll do a glazed one. But I was just letting you know, it's really, for me, I like the leftovers. And I like to be able to use them without that sweet glaze all over them. And I definitely don't want that sweet glaze in my ham and beans. So. But this here is going to make great sandwiches. I'll probably make some au gratin potatoes. It's really good for breakfast. I've got a recipe for a nice ham and broccoli cheese souffle that's good. Or not a souffle, a quiche. Ham, broccoli, and cheese quiche. I have to make. I might have to make a couple of those and freeze one. And then ham and biscuits are really good. So now I've got all this ham and it's all broken down and ready to use in other recipes. All right. Look at that. All this ham. And if you're not going to use it all at one time, put them in baggies and freeze them. Then when you want to make one of those recipes, you've already got your meat broken down and ready to use. All right, and then this here, let me move this out of the way. I'm going to add probably a couple of cups of water to this. Look at all that fat and juices in there. I'm going to add a couple of cups of water and then let it simmer till all this meat falls off the bone. And then I'm going to defat it and then cube up the meat for ham and beans. All right, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share.